Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us another terrific Tuesday and a time for us to engage, hopefully, not just meaningful discourse, but maybe a proactive discussion that evokes in us a sense of pride, an opportunity to share, and perhaps to make things even better. Well, the briefing is at 2 p.m. Between now and 1, we'll have some open line, 1 to 2. Dr. Cummings and Dr. Jefferson will share with us. So we invite you to be a part of today's Talk Today. Stay tuned.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile. Saving lives today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. What's on your mind? I want to invite you to share with us 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Be a part of a discussion. And hey, the first caller up gets a prize. You know what it is? You're the first caller. Sometimes it's just good to be first. I know sometimes it's better just to wait and see, and then you can always respond to what is shared. But other times you take the lead and set the tone. Old saying says, lead, follow, or get out of the way. Sometimes many of us just in the way. Sometimes many of us are not stepping up to take the mantle. And then some, just because of who they are and what they do, we always need to have the cheerleaders, but we also need to have those who draw alongside. So not just following, but being supportive. Now I say that to share a couple of things. Honestly, it may be getting back, hopefully for many of us, not to normal, because I would like it to be even better than that. Your normal may not have been working. Your normal may have been good, but it could be better. So as we move forward, there were a few things that some individuals have shared with us earlier. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, some days I have to stop, even when I look at the calendar and realize, okay, today is Tuesday, and whatever, if it is as you may do, Tuesdays, you have certain things that you always do every Tuesday. It may be that it's your laundry day. It may be that day that when you exercise, it's cycling or it's swimming, or it may be the day you do your calisthenics or otherwise. But Tuesdays may have been the day you met with your friends way back when. Now that things are reopening, well, it could be once again. Now, that sense of routine, as long as it's not a rut, can be helpful. But despite all that has transpired, and even though the things that we may have done, we may still be able to do as part of that routine, when Tuesday rolls around, or it's Thursday or Saturday, we have to stop and wonder, well, okay, I know the day, but which month is it? And then you figure, well, okay, the day and the month is there, but which year is it? And I share that because earlier in a conversation, a few individuals, some of whom, not just because of their experience and their expertise, but because of the relative, as they put it, luxuries now that they have. They no longer have to worry about managing the office because they got good staff to do that, or perhaps they've retired or somewhat taken, a little bit of a step away and not have to engage in that daily sort of commute and grind that most of us do in order to, make ends meet. They now have time on their hands to do some of the things that they would have wished to have done a long time ago, like read or reread, perhaps look at documentaries, read biographies, and the like. Perhaps even to, for them, maybe to paint or some other artistic, expression. Some may have opted to write. And in this time of thinking, of considering, one individual shared that there's so much that we could do as a new society. Uh, are we going to? Is the question. Well, let's invite you to share 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Now, what was very, very encouraging, not only because it was almost unanimous consent. Okay, so it was a half dozen or so of us having one of those regular familiar meetings that we have these days, using the technology and meeting quote unquote virtually. And despite despite being able to assemble and despite the numbers being increased, some still opt to stay home, as it were, because they have, as they shared, become conditioned. And as one said, it's remarkable that if we leverage the technology, become comfortable with it, and you're comfortable with the group, that you're talking, about these things, then you may be able to multitask and do other things. You don't have to get into the drive. But there were, some things that I shared that were unanimous in the discussion, with their permission, and actually, respectfully, to one of them, uh, she insisted, no, share, because these are things that could help to shape and sort of define the society going forward, and perhaps very positively impact our quality of life. First and foremost, I think I, as much as them and they as much as I, want to publicly commend the RCIPS and the Department of Agriculture for collectively, reminding the public through a press release that we are to be responsible pet owners. And I think many of us, because of the circumstances we've faced recently, we're home for some of us, for a period of time. It felt like punishment, and despite the benefits of not having to drive as much, we got to exercise, to walk, to ride, and the like. We have lost a few pounds, got a little more sunshine, have probably uncluttered, the cobwebs from around the mind, as it were. But unfortunately, we've encountered, the droppings from the dogs and the like. Sometimes the dogs may not have been properly leashed and may have caused a few of us, some more than others, to be a bit, anxious and apprehensive. And we understand, the challenges that I can sort of face, or others may face as a result of that, and their enjoyment and the like. Now, as some have referenced, the recent press release by the RCIPS in particular, to go out, and enjoy your pets, take them for walks, but properly leash them, muzzle them, pick up after them, take your little bags and pick up and dispose. Now, there are some hefty fines and even potential imprisonment, but that should not be the threat. Now, one individual said, okay, we have the law, we're reminded, but now let's see the proper enforcement, not to punish and not to make an example, but like anything else, to enforce laws. Because as they shared, that is the other thing that is important for the quality of life. We know that laws are not going to be sort of, passed willy-nilly, as one shared, or enforced arbitrarily, but it's the law. You get to a point where maybe you don't need necessarily law because it becomes the habit, the practice, the custom, the norm, that sort of society. And simple things that can be significant. Now, unfortunately, as some recognize, if someone's cat, as we've seen sadly in years in recent times, even being attacked by a pack of dogs, or someone you know themselves, some people being affected, injured, that's even worse. So we want you to look at it, and it's very, very important. Now, the phone lines are open. There is some open line, and we invite you to call. Quick short break, and when we return, more talk today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Taking your medication when prescribed is important to your health, and your health matters to us. The Health Services Authority's pharmacy has locations across the islands, including a new convenient prescription refill location at Smith Road Center for persons with full insurance coverage. HSA has taken additional safety measures to keep you protected during this extraordinary time, with frequent sanitizing, priority for the elderly and pregnant, additional seating for social distancing, and face mask requirements. If you have questions about your medication, contact one of our pharmacists at 949-8600. For more information about our pharmacy hours and locations, visit hsa.ky.
Join the University College of the Cayman Islands admission team for their webinar, a step-by-step guide on how to apply to UCCI this fall 2020 semester. It's happening Friday, June 26th at 12 noon. Get the answers you need to make your admission process easy. Visit ucci.edu.ky to register. That's ucci.edu.ky.
Dealing with this outbreak can be overwhelming, especially for those of us with mental health challenges. As a teenager, you can practice mindfulness by meditating or continuing to take your prescribed medication. You can also protect your mental health outlook during the global pandemic by limiting the amount of social media and news you watch, staying active, and resting. If you or a friend is coping with mental health challenges, call the Mental Health Helpline for free and confidential advice at 1-800-534-MIND. That's 1-800-534-6463. Weekdays from 9 to 5. For the latest information, visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. The press briefing is going to be at 2 o'clock today, or thereabouts. So we'll take it to you live, and you can get it between now and 1. There's some open line, 1 to 2. Dr. Jefferson and Dr. Cummings from the Health Services Authority will join us. But the phone lines remain open if you want to call and share your thoughts. 949-8037, or toll free with the kind compliments of Flow. 1-800-534-TALK. 1-800-534-8255. And as we were sharing, the other sort of, consensus point at the beginning of our discussion was the whole issue of not just enforcing laws and the impact on quality of life that it could have when people are responsible pet owners. But the traffic congestion, the relative safety concerns that people have when we're using the roads. So as more and more of us were out, when cars were less on the roads, walking, riding, exercising, and now that it's almost back to as it were before. A few people said they even wonder if it's not worse. Then how is it as we move forward? As one asks, can we look at potential and not just traffic calming measures in certain areas, not only increase police vigilance and the like, but are we able to consider long term what strategies we can use to put less sort of vehicles on the road, not only make it safer for everybody, pedestrians, cyclists, other motorists as well, but perhaps improve the environmental quality and the efficiencies we can get as a result of the roads that we have, allowing us to get places, much safer, faster, um, perhaps even for some more conveniently. Now, the traditional methods that we've seen, perhaps we need to think outside the box. Any suggestions you have? Some obviously would say, well, let's limit cars, limit who can get a car and how many cars you can have. But is that an answer that you think would work? As one person shared, and as he said, it's really doesn't solve anything. But if you limit a person to one car or two cars, well, you can only drive one car at a time. So if a person is a car collector, if the person just has this particular penchant for cars and decides, I want 30 cars, can afford to license and insure all 30, one for each day of the week. Well, the person drives out, you know, on a Monday in one car, and on Tuesday in another, and never drives it again till the start of the first Monday of the next month. Then does that really matter? It's only one car. So that's probably not necessarily, the best solution. But what do you think? What would work? Would the traditional public transport be the answer? Is there another means that is equally, efficient and effective as well as environmentally friendly? Well, 949-8037 or toll free 1-800-534-8255. And then the sort of third comment that was put on the table was the whole issue of and one fellow offered up the concern that perhaps like we may have experienced following Hurricane Ivan, a natural disaster that destroyed, or damaged many properties. People saw the opportunity to rebuild, bigger and higher and better and the like. And for him, there were two concerns. One, I do apologize, as I said to him, you know, uh, not necessarily as scripturally grounded as he is, certainly not in the biblical history, and as he was able to quote, but he shared, just like Israel, back long ago when it experienced certain things, he could point to verse and chapter in the scriptures that show where Israel, proclaimed that it would emerge bigger and better, sort of in defiance to God's word, as he put it. And he's wondering sometimes in our own state, he used as a reference the US's sort of efforts to rebuild after the terrible attacks on September 11th, and even the proclamations from its, sort of national senate, as it were, its president and the like, vowing to rebuild bigger and stronger. Whereas it sounds great politically, whereas it probably may have engendered a nation in pride, could it have been an affront, as it were, to Scripture? And he shared that in the Cayman context, whether you're a religious scholar or whether you're, very devout, the notion is that sometimes when events unfold, that we have to be mindful not to respond in a sense of defiance, whether we see it as such or not, but with humility, with a sense of perspective, perhaps use the opportunity to rebuild, but rebuild in a way that isn't demonstrated in taller buildings or denser developments, but rebuild in a sense of a stronger, more unified society. And as he pointed, maybe one day I'll get him to come on and have a perspective, or perhaps he may persuade someone else to, you know, wax poetically about, his premise. But he shared that if we know, like we did after Ivan, a natural disaster that caused physical, damage to our buildings and the like. Here we've had, this quote unquote disaster, to use his words, and there may not have necessarily been, physical damage to buildings, but financial consequences and implication, mental and social and psychological consequences. So when we rebuild, is that rebuilding now sort of be for some to capitalize on the financial woes that some have experienced and acquire properties, expand businesses in order now to re-emerge bigger and better. And he cautioned that should we do that, we would again perhaps not only affront the scriptures, but perhaps do ourselves great harm because we've missed the opportunity. As again, to sort of repeat what he shared with us, and I offer this for you not only to think about it, but to perhaps call in and question, champion it, challenge it. But he said, for a period of time, many people started to appreciate that they could hear, the birds once again, to see birds that they probably had never seen before or in such large quantities, perhaps only since they were children, 50 years ago, perhaps, 60, 70, 80 years ago. Perhaps the waters, along the shorelines were cleaner and clearer, much crisper. Perhaps they recognized that, there was a sense of, community, despite people being, you know, physically distant. They saw the importance of socializing and gathering, and again valuing friends and family. They had time to exercise. And we said that if we could embrace that going forward, then maybe that's how we emerge stronger, bigger, better, as it were. Now, I must share, I followed along once or twice. The connection dropped. I know I missed a few things, but it's only been a few hours since the conversation, and it's had me thinking, well, is that sort of what these things can mean for some of us? That short span of time, we've seen, improvements in our air quality. We've seen the seas sort of respond in a way. We've seen, nature in a way we've never seen it for the longest time. And it didn't matter whether it was already a nice, pristine, environmentally friendly, sort of, beautiful space. If it was improved, what can we do to make it better? And with that, someone shared the perspective that could it be now that when we start to look at our building, maybe we could employ not only because of incentives and the like, but employ strategies that make the building greener, as it were. And that could not only prove beneficial for the environment, but for the economics, our own, financial savings as a result, going long term. And then the third thing that they sort of put forward was the whole notion that as we're doing that, then we need to look again at the quality of life for those who are living here, not having to work, 24/7, 365, not have to be concerned about the cost to live and to survive, not necessarily feeling as if you're held hostage or being exploited, Now, is that more than social justice? Well, when we come back from this other break, I'll offer up a point that was put forward, sort of a passing comment, but it has to do with the notion that if we could find a way somehow to ensure that more business sort of transact here, people being able to purchase their goods and services on island, not as a protectionist measure, but to incentivize and to ensure that the same product that you can buy and have it shipped in is not only available here, but is available at a competitive price, is available with excellent service, for the sale as well as after the sale. Well, you may have a thought or two on that, especially given that for some, they may be receiving a number of financial sort of benefits. So let's pause and take a break, and when we come back, more talk today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Obey the laws and wear the gauze. Protect your jaws from septic paws. Stay clean, K-Man. Reflection sells hand sanitizer from $2.99. 10 surgical masks are only $9.99. And the best KN95 masks from only $3.30. Volume discounts available at all 5 Liquor for Less locations. Shedden Road, North Church Street, Savannah, Northside, and the McClendon Drive Airport location. Don't miss the Liquor for Less incredible lockdown price markdowns. Hundreds of fine from $2.99. Cases of ice cold below wholesale prices. Save $9 off liters of. Enjoy our manager specials exclusively at Liquor for Less. Prices so low, we can't say them on the radio. Liquor for Less enforces the wearing of masks, social distancing, and preventative measures to help stop the spread of COVID-19, such as consistent hand washing and only leaving home for essential purposes.
Cineco is pleased to announce that our offices in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac have reopened to the public. Cineco will be open to serve our valued clients from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. until further notice. Recommended physical distancing and enhanced sanitization procedures have been implemented in our offices, and visitors will be required to wear face masks for the safety of all concerned. On behalf of the Cineco team, we look forward to serving you.
Stop the spread of coronavirus by washing your hands with soap frequently. If none is available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Stay at home whenever you can. Avoid close contact with people outside your household by staying a minimum of 6 feet apart and wear a mask while in public. For more information, go to www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. It is open line 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Now, let's go to our phones and join our caller. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hello, good afternoon, Sterling. Rambo,
Hey, how are you, man? It's been a while. Glad to hear from you.
Man.
Hope you're good.
Yeah, good, man. I listen every day, man. In fact, all I with my phone call from my boss, my employer, that's all beating on. I understand, but yeah. But
Yeah, there you go, man.
Different there. I hit a beat now. Over the weekend, right? My bedroom went for a cruise, right?
Mm-hmm.
I observed, right? People are heedful, right? Or the potential consequences, right? Circumspect, with the gathering, the social distance. You understand?
Right.
That's cool. Right? Look at Sterling, from that day the earthquake started, the 28th of January, right? I was telling you about this corona thing. And if you arrive here in our shores, right? Our amenities, the price of this, it came on, spray everything, right? We'll have but suit everything, right? But we got all kind of suppressed some sort of way. And the whole bunch of mix on in, we see mental health, exactly that in that, right? The judgment will be appropriate with this corona thing. You understand? You see we're doing MIA, Miami. Spreading now. Spreading bad now. But like I said, get on it. Give me one thing I say, you know. Two things I say. So look here. The campaign start now. Campaign start. They want you can't beat because they want our money now. You will tell you. And you know me starting everything came on political. Right?
Yeah, man.
And look here. Careful with me now. Careful with me now. I observe politics, regional, international, over the years now. And look here. They got potential layers now. Pathological layers now. You see where it come from. So, the campaign season start. Like I say again, I talked to Uncle Elvis Sunday, Uncle Elvis, the Brock. They won't support the herb thing. But listen, that's revenue. Like I say again, that revenue. Right? If that were in place, darling, right? If that were in place, we could have surplus money with that. So come from billions of dollars in the US with that now. Allocated funds now. You understand? But came on now. We put everything on the carpet. To come from. So before I let you go now, like I say again, it's a leap year. A lot of change in the wind. Hurricane season around the corner, right? We go on 22 days now. Actually 24. So you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Let's prepare. Be safe.
Yeah, man. If you have a minute or you saying, and you're right, everything seems like it's political in some, and you shared that the campaign has started. If you were able to and you wish, two things. One, what sort of things have you seen and witnessed? What are your observations that lead you to share that you think is already started?
No, like I hear people, right? People talking in public, you know. I hear how they congregate themselves, right? Making fools and how they, make a parallel thing. I hear them and I see too. Want to be politician. But listen, so then not what they want to run. They want a money. They want a credit card. They want a money. So it starts really slow. It start. Yeah. Like you see, like me now, my house now. I call OC one time. But couple months ago, it was OC. Yeah, you see Mark Steve on, right? I tell them if I want to run, I will sell my house. Sell my house, right? Get my own campaign money. That was my last resort to run, but it's hard for me to run, especially when Grant came on. It's hard. They want more vote. It's hard. So that kind of out of my regime, my camp. So I come from.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so then it start on. Believe me, it start. But like I say again, so then, like I said again, I observe pathological layers now. So I analyze them. I know they operate now. So, people like Pete Judge, you decorum your character. I know who you are now. I know who he is now.
Yeah, man.
But what I tell you, you see media play an article role now. Right? It use the persuasion that play a critical role. So
true.
And like I say again, tell you know how you operate. You intermediate. I tell you in person in the studio. You intermediate. I know stand you on. I respect you. Cool, man. Right?
Blessings to you, man. Thank you. Take care. All right. With that, let's take another caller. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling. Hello. Good afternoon. All right. And as we invite all those to share, please remember now after the 1 p.m. headline news, Dr. Cummings and hopefully Dr. Jefferson both will be able to join us as we, speak to the excellent things that are transpiring over at the Health Services Authority. Equally, the briefing is going to be set for 2 p.m. or so. And, we want you to share all of the different sentiments that you may have on your mind. And many people, perhaps as I was looking at this whole notion here, is that, one person has put forward a view based on that last caller's sentiment. The politics, it says, is always around. The campaigning has never stopped. This person writes that for many of us, we are like the caller. Says like the caller, we are very much aware uh, of the whole idea that for them, the campaigning is from the first election to the next. If they're elected, they continue to campaign. If they're not elected, then they continue even more so. Um, I wish I could read how the person wrote it, but I think that's just a little bit inflammatory. Uh, I hesitated because I wonder sometimes if it's not an injustice, a disservice to those who uh, take time to send off a comment. And yes, you can leave out expletives when you type or when you read it, but do you really conveying the actual message that some have shared? Now, it's not that anybody necessarily wants to say something that is defamatory, but maybe it isn't intended to be inflammatory either. But is that a fine line between saying something that causes some people to be incited, others to find it to be insightful? It's just, I guess, a matter of presentation, and with great respect. That's why I prefer when people will call, because reading something that someone wrote, you may not get the same tone. You'll miss the true way it's communicated, and even when you try to type it, it's not necessarily going to convey the emotion, your intonation, and the like. That's the beauty of talking, and I think that's what underscored that was something we saw very early on. The fact that we were isolated, it's unhealthy in so many ways because as social beings, we're there to interact and engage, to talk, not just to see each other talk, but to be close enough that we can get a feeling and a sense of what is being said. Well, with that in mind, we have the news break coming up. We'll pause and take that, and then we're going to truly enjoy the excellent company of Dr. Cummings and Dr. Jefferson, who share with you with respect to all the great things that are starting to happen once again over the Health Services Authority. You have, in many respects, so much, I guess, in this country that we probably have taken for granted, and so much that we probably didn't really appreciate was there for so many of us. And when we look at a number of the things that are happening, not just regionally and globally, and we try to compare, we may find ourselves coming up short. Others may say, what is even a lot better, and we appreciate it. But the question is, to what extent are we analyzing these things, from an objective, as impartial a perspective as possible, as informed as we can? And when we look and see that something is better, is it with envy or is it with an intent to say, well, how can we be inspired by that and improve the way we deliver a particular service or offer, up something? Perhaps it may be the notion that we have to provide better products, services, better when we move forward with what we have. So, news is up. The briefing is at 2. Between now and then, for the next hour or so, we want you to be a part of the discussion. Dr. Cummings and Dr. Jefferson will be our guests for as much of that as they need. Certainly, the whole time is available to them. It's important that we continue to champion and value our health services, and not just financially invest in it, but encourage those of us to pursue it as a career. There's so many facets, because it is, I believe, one of the pillars of our society. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is
the best interests of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Cisco donates Wi-Fi technology to the Cayman government to provide free wireless internet access to people living in the Cayman Islands. Its purpose is to increase access to online connectivity and bridge the digital divide across the islands. This effort will provide public Wi-Fi hotspots across 10 community sites. In international news, top U.S. disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci says that he is cautiously optimistic a vaccine may be ready by the end of 2020. He said it is a matter of when and not if the vaccine is ready, but added that it might take some time. Drug company Moderna has plans to launch a phase 3 clinical trial as early as July 2020. U.S. President Donald Trump has extended a pause on some green cards and suspended visas for other foreign workers until the end of 2020. The White House said the move will create jobs for Americans hurting economically due to the pandemic, but critics say the White House is exploiting the coronavirus pandemic to tighten up immigration laws. Scientists have discovered an astronomical object that has never been observed before. It is more massive than collapsed stars, known as neutron stars, but has less mass than black holes. Such black neutron stars were not thought possible and will mean ideas for how neutron stars and black holes form will need to be rethought. Those are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Or you can also, WhatsApp 925-3261. It's still there. You can use your thoughts. And, it's going to be an interesting discussion. And when we get a chance now, we'll connect up once we can put all of the technology to use. We can leverage it to our benefit. It's going to find it increasingly that more of us are, becoming not just very comfortable with the technology, but just like, we remember when the cell phone came out, it was big and clunky and probably not that great. Now it's seemingly indispensable. Probably more so for some of us than, it is a challenge, as it were. And, I'm thinking increasingly that, we're not necessarily as comfortable with the technology. It's not necessarily that, we have the necessary infrastructure. And when we think of it, well, it's all part and parcel of what we have before us. All right, so I've got it all together and very glad to be able to get to the phone lines and join our guests as we go to it. Hey, good afternoon, Dr. Cummings. Thank you for joining us. And from what you shared, you also have Dr. McLaughlin and Dr. Richards with you as well, sir.
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to your listeners, Dwayne.
All right. Thanks very much. And perhaps I could, but maybe I'll just do it briefly and then a respectful ask each of you just for, for our listeners to do a quick intro for those listening. Our guests are Dr. Courtney Cummings, the HSA's Deputy Medical Director, is also joined, I believe, by Dr. Elizabeth McLaughlin, the clinical head of the emergency room. And Dr. Lundy Richards, then the oncologist and hematologist, both being lead members of the COVID-19 medical task force. Did I get that right, Dr. Cummings?
Right, you got it right. They're both lead members of the task force, and as you said, Dr. McLaughlin is the head of the emergency room. Dr. Richards is our oncologist, hematologist, and he also happens to be a prominent holder of MPH, and in fact worked with PAHO WHO before, so he is quite afraid with these sort of crises.
All right. Well, this is something that I say often with great pride and sometimes with respect. I don't even realize to the extent that we have it, but we have within our midst, on our shores, some incredible talent, experience, and expertise. Some, that we've grown our own, some that have come and, been amongst us for decades, and some, for, a shorter time, but they're all committed to put all hands and hearts together to strengthen and make our societies stronger and better. And for that, we're very grateful. We've been, in my words, blessed as a result. So thank you to each of you for your continued service, to our health systems. Now, Dr. Cummings,
Just one quick correction, Dwayne, if I may. Dr.
Yes, sir.
McLaughlin is signaling me that she hasn't been here for decades. She's very young and tender.
No, she knew I was talking about her. You see that? No, no, she's experienced her decades of experience, but her youthfulness in her,
It's okay.
chronological age. How about that, Dr. McLaughlin?
Yeah, that's a little better, but you leave it at that for now.
Yes, ma'am. See, this is why I keep telling people, we are social beings, and I believe that more and more because had we had the good opportunity now to have been in studio with the four of us, the banter would have been even better, and perhaps I would have been, more jovial. And I don't know, maybe Miss Norm will have to come down and say, "Now behave yourself. You're having an interview with professionals, straight actors, such, you know." But we
You're
have
good
it,
with
and
us,
we'll get
Dwayne. You're
better.
good with us. You've always been good with us.
Well, it's easier when you have great people joining you, and you improve yourself. Now, we read for those of us the press release, with respect to the things that are happening, and perhaps for some of us, and again, I'll defer to each of you. We may unfortunately take for granted that so the health services or physicians or nurses, the technical staff in the labs and the like, they're always there. They're always behind the scenes, uh, even when they're front and center. We expect them, like the sun, to continue. Up one day, down the next, up again. Just a gentle breeze, keeping things moving. In this particular time, some of us may have been working remotely, but for you all as a team, you're always, front and center, hands on deck, as it were. Uh, how,
Absolutely.
uh, if I may ask, and again, I'll defer to you, but what has that been like? The patients not necessarily have been as visible present as normal, but your services are still evident. And as we transition from that phase now back to what it was before scheduling appointments, share with us if you could.
So I missed the last part of your comment,
Okay.
Dwayne.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I should have asked. Just that you all can hear me as best as possible. Now, I was saying, as we're moving in now to the next phase, we know the government has announced. I used to say phase two, but I think they call it levels. So level two, right? And I don't mean to be facetious. I'm just not quite sure phase level. Maybe there's a difference there. But we're going into the next rung of the thing, right? As we go into this next level, what is that going to mean for the HSA and for the public who needs to access healthcare, whether it's a scheduled appointment that is now back on the table or whether it's something else? What
Right.
changes? What's different?
Right, yes. Well, thank you very much for the question, Dwayne. So, first of all, when COVID-19 became an issue here in the Cayman Islands months ago, the government put in place certain measures to protect the entire population. And those suppression measures, we call them, they come with different levels or phases. And they call them levels. Level 5, there are 5 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, the levels were put there and should, in fact, give an indication of the extent of the virus or the viral activity in the community. So, for example, level 5, there's maximum suppression, meaning there's significant suppression of social activities. Level 4, there's high suppression of social activities. Level 3, less than high, moderate. Level 2, minimal suppression. Level 1, all clear. And so these suppression measures are not, they are meant to protect the population, and they limit non-emergency medical activity to varying degrees. And so now, having said that, we have moved from level 5 to level 2, where now many non-urgent activities can take place. Hence, we are saying at the HSA, we are now given the all clear. And you see again, this level that we talked about, level 5, 4, 3, 2, was based on science, was based on the amount of viral activity we've seen in society. So it's a very academic and technical way to do it. So there's nothing wrong with that. And now that we are at level 2, in which it's not all clear, but most things can now happen at once. Once before it was just emergency things. So with level 2 now, we are saying we're going to open back up now. The main point here, Dwayne, is that as we open back up, we are still going to do that honoring certain things. We want to be as safe as possible to the community. As we open back up, we want to still adhere to certain things like physical or social distancing. So when persons come now for their routine care, the routine clinic appointments, the routine ambulatory care, the routine X-ray or radiology testing and so on, we're going to do that. But it's no longer where two persons will sit next to each other. So one, there's going to be adherence to the whole principle of physical distance. But I want to start by stating that in order for us to, so in fact, let me say it this way, 3 things are going to be important to maintaining physical distancing. 2, that all persons coming to the hospital, including the staff, must always be wearing a mask. Very, very important. And the last point is that there'll be frequent cleaning and decontamination or disinfection of the tables and doorknobs and so on. Those are the 3 things. And you'll see as we go through this that as we talk about the different sections, this is going to be a recurrent sort of theme. Physical distancing, cleaning surfaces, wearing masks. And so, as we open back, safety is of paramount importance. That is the message I think that I want to give. And we're going to make sure that the patients are safe and the staff is safe.
Now, when you mention mask and the like, would you also have issues with respect to, say, gloves? Will staff and or patients, visitors be required, in addition to the mask, be required to wear gloves? Because I noticed that in some instances we've had wearing of gloves, and I'm not quite sure if that is something that is still required or if it's actually still useful. I mean, what is the consensus on that?
No, they're not required to wear gloves. It's not a requirement unless somebody has a particular problem with their hands or so on. What has to happen is that we have to make sure that, in fact, I can just jump right into it now and say that even before the COVID-19, the Health Service Authority has had a number of hand sanitizers around the compound. You see them in many areas, in the clinics, in emergency departments, and other places. And we are now encouraging persons to use that more so than before. If you remember how this virus is transmitted, it's primarily by respiratory droplets. But also, persons can get it from touching contaminated surfaces. So even if you have on gloves and you touch contaminated surface, you can still spread it. So the important thing is to maintain your hands as clean as possible and avoid touching your face as much as possible. So to answer that question, I think it's about, there's no need for people to wear gloves, but it's to maintain their hands as clean as possible.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And Dr. McLaughlin, if you wish to, offer any thoughts as well, and then Dr. Richards.
Richard. I think, no, you can go ahead. You go ahead and we'll answer as you ask the question.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the perspective and respect as to what we can expect, and we can expound more on that. But maybe I should have first asked, now I believe in level 2, given the last press briefing and the like. When is the, HSA reopen? Is it open now? When can the public expect that?
Yes, the HSA is opened now. As we've moved into level 2, we've opened to receive patients for urgent and non-urgent conditions, and the clinics are starting back. Obviously, there'll be some changes in how things are done and how the clinics are conducted, but the care will continue with a focus on making sure we keep everyone safe. So there'll be things like sanitizing before you enter and exit any of the departments or the hospital or the bedrooms. There'll be thermometers for testing of temperatures of all persons entering HSA. So whether you're a visitor or a patient, processes like that will be taking place. Some of the protocols for those are being worked on as we speak. Some are already established. But that is a lot of the behind of the scenes work that has been ongoing. And obviously the physical distancing will apply for every unit.
All right. If we could then maybe ask, you referenced temperatures and the like, and we've seen some discussions whether or not taking temperatures. Now, hopefully, I'm not recalling inaccurately. During the briefing, Dr. Lee, the CMO, when asked a question about temperatures, I think relating to airports and the like, I believe, I ask, for your guidance. His response was that necessarily taking temperatures like that, not not as effective as one would think because of the readings, and he went into some discussion. But maybe you can clarify for us. Taking your temperature, whether it's even the one at your forehead or however it's administered, is that as effective as we think it is, or is there really just for a peace of mind and a show?
Okay, right. I will answer that. Or any one of us can answer, but I'll go ahead. So remember that that part of the presentation of persons with COVID-19 is they can present with fever and a number of other symptoms, but there is a great percentage of persons who can be totally asymptomatic. So the asymptomatic persons, it means therefore that you can take temperature of persons who will have normal temperature but still are contaminated. So that being said, this is not to scare the public. That being said, it is also useful to take the temperature, because if you find someone and they have found that one or two persons who have a temperature, you can take them out. And at least from up front, you can say, okay, let's assess these individuals so they don't contaminate anybody else. So the point here is that the absence of temperature does not mean that the person doesn't have COVID-19. You could have COVID-19 and be totally asymptomatic.
Right, and the thing to remember is that it's not just one element in assessment of patients. So the temperature is part of a screen. Depending on what's going on and what is happening, there are other questions that are asked. So for the staff, yes, our temperature is taken every day, but also there's a series of questions that we must fill out every day before we start work. Just as a way of screening, looking for a potential higher risk than our usual risk, sort of.
Yeah.
So, and that's why sanitizing the hands, all of that, and the wearing of the mask. So all of these things add together to help prevent the spread. So it's not just one thing. So
I think this is where we see it. It'll be good for us as well. I mean, the check, we come in and we go to triage, for our GP, for instance, we get our weight and our other sort of metrics. um, again, helping us to be safe. If I could also then ask then, with respect to the reopening and then the services coming back online, I would imagine that a number of patients had, appointments sort of deferred to be rescheduled. Whether it was a follow up, whether it was a new consult, maybe it was some diagnostic. With respect to those appointments that were sort of postponed to be rescheduled later on, how will they occur? Is it the patient to now call in and say, okay, I need, or will someone at HSA says, you were to see, for argument's sake, Dr. Cummins? Yeah.
Okay, glad you asked that particular question.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are in the process of going through our patient list, and we are directly following up with patients. But first, if you step back a little bit, that
Yes, please.
although some appointments had been pushed back, we had continued to have our teleconsultation as far as possible with as many patients as possible, because we wanted to know how the status of their condition. Because throughout this pandemic, we have been always offering emergency and urgent services, just because we want to make sure all our patients are as well as possible. As we go forward, those with the most urgent conditions, those will be obviously prioritized. And so we'll go through almost like an algorithm to make sure that we prioritize our patients. We also look at our elderly and the most vulnerable persons also to be prioritized as much as possible. Although some services, for example, dialysis, we always take in our patients, because those patients need to be seen every other day when they need to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
When they need to be seen. So yes, we are going through that process in terms of those who have been pushed back to have them seen as quickly as possible. What is important, Dr. Cummins mentioned earlier, what is important as we go through, I think Liz mentioned earlier on, is how we organize the flow as we go through, because we have to respect this particular virus. Do we recognize, you can catch it very easily and it can spread very fast. And so the whole aspect of making sure that patients adhere to appointments, and we ask our patients, please adhere to the appointment so that there's as minimum overlapping as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have to come at 10, then they should come at 10 and not at 10:15, because they're going to go into somebody else's space. The whole aspect of pre-registration. So we register them before they get here to minimize all of the overlapping and decrease the time that people have to interact. Things like numbers of friends and family members walking in with the patient, we always ask that they be decreased. When they come to the facility, whether it's in a waiting area or so on, we space them out as far as possible with about 4 to 6 feet as far as possible between each person. And of course, everybody must use some form of a mask. All staff will be doing that, and we all our patients must wear it to minimize any possible spread. And of course, the whole thing of hand hygiene is critical for everyone.
And now, when we're looking at the services, so Professor Shocks, just to repeat, the pre-registration process, maybe at some point we'll ask more about that and the screenings and the like. But when we're looking at the services, of course you can see, for instance, Dr. Richards with respect to the oncology and the like, and the other follow-ups for hematology. But what about the other touch services like physiotherapy? Maybe it isn't the obstetrics and gynecology, but the other ones that are like physio and the like, will they be at any point in time still on offer?
Right. So, in fact, when Dr. Richards spoke about restarting the service, in fact, before I even answer that question, can I quickly say to the public that we never really stopped completely? Yes, we adhere to the rules and regulations of the Health Practice Commission, but what we've been doing we've been the internal medicine, the general surgeons, the orthopedic surgeons, and many of the other colleagues, we've been calling patients at home and doing what we call telemedicine, asking them how they feel, writing up their prescriptions, ordering blood tests and so on for them. And if, in fact, we thought, based on the information given, that they could be in problems, we will pull them in before the time. So we've been doing that. So to answer, I think, one of the questions that people have to ask, there may not be significant amount of patients who are still to be seen because of that, because we've been seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
They've not been met, they've not been not cared for during this period of time. Having said that, this starting up of the clinics and services is for everybody. It's for OBGYN, it's for pediatrics, it's for the eye clinic, it's for specialist clinic, it's for physio, it's for everybody. But I think the important point, if we were to make an important point, is that while we do that, we're going to adhere to certain things that will decrease the risk of the virus being spread. Physical or social distancing, 6 feet apart. Either, even when they're waiting, and we try to avoid lines, as Dr. Richard said, by pre-registering people. But even when they're waiting, we have them 6 feet apart. We have persons, and all the things he mentioned, wearing a mask, etc., etc. And again, the spacing out of the of appointments too. In the past, we will say persons will have appointments, let's say, every 20 minutes. But we're not doing that now anymore. The appointments will be maybe every 25 minutes, because we'll say when that patient comes in and is seen by Dr. Richards or Dr. McLaughlin or Dr. Cummings,
mm-hmm.
When that patient is finished being seen after 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we need another 10 minutes for the place to be cleaned again. I'm not saying decontaminated, but clean again, because
mm-hmm.
then either the nursing staff or...
Well, we're all familiar with the physicians, washing their hands and putting on the gloves, even, while we're there, sometimes multiple times, even prior to this. But just before we go to the break, just to clarify, the pre-registration, then, will that take place so by the phone? The HSA will call the patient, remind them of the appointment, and then say, okay, how does that work?
Right, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. That's the answer. So they will get a call to say, you have appointment tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And are you going to be coming? Well, I'm not going to be coming. I'll be there tomorrow, or I'll be coming in. So once we know they'll be coming in, they will go ahead and register them at that time. So they don't have to come and join a line to be registered. That's the pre-registration.
And they also will be at that time trying to gather information, so like the necessary, if your insurance or updating your phone numbers. So it is important when making appointments that the emails and the phone numbers that are given out are, as accurate as can be, so that when the hospital is calling to pre-register you, they can actually reach you.
All right. Well, when we come back from the break, we have a couple of questions on our WhatsApp, asking about some of the diagnostics, the blood, the labs, and the like. And maybe we can talk about that somewhat as well, as you share with us more as the HSA reopens, fully, and get an understanding from the public as to what it is going to be required of us. So thank you for joining us, and look forward to continuing after the break. Stay tuned.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best in sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Did you know that with the COVID-19 Emergency Withdrawal Program, we reviewed over 12,000 member applications in May, approved over 8,000 applications, and paid over CI $90 million to our members from June 12th onwards? We are the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, and we're here for you. For further information regarding the Emergency Withdrawal Program, visit chamberpension.ky and And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630.
Join the University College of the Cayman Islands admission team for their webinar, a step-by-step guide on how to apply to UCCI this fall 2020 semester. It's happening Friday, June 26th at 12 noon. Get the answers you need to make your admission process easy. Visit ucci.edu.ky to register. That's ucci.edu.ky.
Radio Cayman News.
It gives us the confidence to be able to move to suppression level 2.
The Premier announced the National Emergency Operations Center would stand down and the curfew time operation suspended.
Trying to address concerns about food, shelter, employment, and doing everything we can to stimulate the local economy.
Radio Cayman, your official source for Cayman's COVID-19 response. Hear it here first.
The hurricane season is here. Are you ready? If not, now is the time to prepare. Follow Water Authority on social media for useful hurricane preparedness tips and important customer service announcement throughout the 2019 hurricane season. You can also download free hurricane preparedness brochures from the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky. Be aware, be safe, be prepared. Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
We are here for you. Whether you are in extreme financial need, have lost your job, have been directly or indirectly affected by the pandemic, we are here. The Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan is here to assist through the Cayman Islands Government Emergency Withdrawal Program. To withdraw, visit chamberpension.ky and complete the online application form by filling in your personal details, the amount you wish to withdraw, and upload a notarized government ID such as your passport or driver's license. For information as it happens, visit chamberpension.ky or follow our social media pages on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. We thank you for your patience as we address the high volume of email and phone queries. The Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. You can count on us.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We have the opportunity to continue our discussion with the great physicians over at the Health Services Authority, the HSA's Deputy Medical Director, Dr. Courtney Cummings, joined by his colleagues, Dr. Elizabeth McLaughlin, the clinical head of the emergency room, and Dr. Lundy Richards, the oncologist and hematologist, both being, part of the lead members of the COVID-19 task force. So thank you very much. I know you have patience, and many of us may have been working remotely, but you guys have been working constantly. So thanks for the continued service. We just had a couple of questions prior to the break from our WhatsApp asking about some of the procedures, for moving forward, respect to the diagnostics and the like. One, if I can read this one perhaps as it's presented. Is there a particular procedure to going about getting blood work taken? So there was a request, by the physician a while back, and I was wondering what does the patient do to get the blood taken? I guess it would be the same for X-rays and the like, but let's start with the blood. So the physician has ordered blood. Now the patient is reopened. What does the patient do?
Okay, if I may take part of it, I'm understanding you clearly. For patients who already have the physician had requested blood tests, they can come in at any time to do their blood test. The blood taking area is open every day. They will only need to adhere with the distancing of 6 feet between each patient. So they will get their blood test done, and just as I mentioned before, the whole aspect of ensuring that the public health standards are maintained, and that's it with those. For patients who are doing various radiology investigations, it all depends. There are some investigations that they could walk in and have it done. They would have to adhere to the very same procedures, the social distancing. They'll be seated 6 feet apart, and minimizing the crowding. However, there may be some tests that are done in radiology, and I do believe that there needs to be a contact between the patient and the radiology unit to make an appointment for some of these tests to be done. And I'm pretty certain that the physicians would have advised, or the nurse sometimes tell them, look, this is a special test. They sometimes help to facilitate and make those particular appointments for these patients, so they're allowed to come at a particular time for those particular tests.
Okay.
What I would say for anyone who's not sure about their testing for radiology is to actually call the radiology department, and then they can also give them the advice on when they can and to make the appointment. The number would be 244-2880 or 244-2881.
Okay, so call in and then if nobody can get their schedule.
Right, because they may also have a mix of things requested for radiology, that some are walk-in and some are appointment-based. So I would say if you're not sure which one it is better to call the radiology department, and then they could facilitate you with getting your investigation done.
Right. I just want to, Dwayne, if I may,
yes, sir.
Please, in terms of the some of those investigations you refer to, especially the radiological investigations, persons may have tests that were ordered before, and yes, they know now that we open up that they'll be called. They may have had a barium or an ultrasound, and they may expect a call. But I just want persons to understand that as the doctors rebook those things, they're doing it in a sort of phased way, meaning they look to see the ones that are more urgent of the non-urgent things, because they're all non-urgent to some extent, and they book those first, and then the others that are less urgent afterwards. So you may find that you would have expected to have done your test on this day, and then it's now pushed back for a week or two. But we'll get to you. It's just that we've got a few extra persons to do, and we have to put the ones that are more urgent first. I don't know if I made that clear.
Yeah. I think prioritizing to make sure.
Right.
If I could then ask, though, perhaps two things, or the same thing two ways. In some instances, and I wonder if it's the same with respect to requests for blood work or, ultrasounds and X-rays and the like. The physician puts in the request. We've now been, 4 months or 4 years. Is it 4 decades? I'm not sure. It seems like a long time. Is there, like in some systems for other things, if something isn't acted upon, there's a timeline when the system will kick it out. So after 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, they'll say, okay, well, this is no longer needed, so it automatically will kick the request out. In this case of physicians who've put in blood work for patient A, and it hasn't, occurred within 3 months or 6 months or whatever that time is there a timeline that it would then sort of fall away from the system? It's no longer there, if you follow what I'm asking?
You're absolutely right, Dwayne. Absolutely right. After about 6 months, the investigations tend to fall off the system. And so that's, in a sense, a problem, especially when we've had 3 months in which patients, many of them, couldn't get things done. They may have to see their physicians again to get that organized. But to answer your question directly, after about 6 months, investigations tend to fall off of the system, especially the laboratory investigations. They tend to fall off.
Okay. Well,
And
thanks for clarifying.
what we do, for example, when we order things, if I wanted to stay on, if I order it as a future order, that the patient can come any day to get it done, I can just do it as a future order. But I can bypass that to some extent, and I don't want to make this complex, by choosing a date 7 months down the line, and it will stay on until 7 months.
Right.
It happens, but we can override that one difficulty there, because you see, if you don't do that, what is going to happen? All the tests that we've ordered may just remain there forever and ever, and just clog the system up, so it falls off.
Yeah, but I just want to mention one other thing, though, Dwayne, is that as we interact with patients, either in our teleconsultation or preparing them for appointments, we usually know what investigations they should have done or need to have done. And at that time, if it's not ordered, we'll make the reorder, and we also advise the patient on what to do. So we try to facilitate as much as possible.
You know, and as I listen to you, looking quickly at this comment and this individual, I don't think wouldn't mind me paraphrasing and say this is when the patient has to be the patient's best advocate to follow up appointments, make notes of what, and to understand when speaking to the physician is being, asked. I think it makes sense. The physician says go do a blood test. Well, make a note of it. Make a note of what's being asked and maybe the date. So many of us do that. Some of us probably just take it for granted. We know the excellent service at HSA. They'll always call and remind us. We always can turn up and do our things. But in this environment, there may be a little adjustments that we have to make, huh?
Yes, it is true. There are adjustments that have to be made, but these adjustments are to protect everybody, right? And the adjustments are really with regards to generally the flow and how people move one direction to another and what needs to be done, and how, as I mentioned before, the whole aspect of ensuring that our patients have appointed time that minimally, as minimal as possible, overlap. We really do not want them to overlap, because as you decrease the human-to-human interaction, you decrease the possibility of viral transmission.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we go into this final break of the segment here, maybe you referenced earlier, the eye clinic, and like, could we just ask then for repetition? All the services are open, the eye, the dental, and that will also include the district health centers. Are we also talking Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac and Little Cayman as well?
Right, yeah. So, Dwayne, all of what we said initially applies to all of the centers, the district centers, from East End to Bordentown to West Bay. We also refer to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, all of the HSA facilities.
All right. Well, this is, I think, what sadly we have taken for granted, but we could gladly do so, knowing the excellent quality of service and having the, that's not just the medical aspect, but the dental and the vision aspect over right there side by side. When we come back,
also, of course, yes, dental, everything, yes, everything is opening back up now, yes. Again, with the understanding that you may have some delay in getting certain things done, because we can no longer put two patients in the time we used to put them anymore. It's got to be a little bit more time, again, for cleaning and all of the things we talked about before.
Okay. And I certainly always appreciate you, reminding us and repeating it. But when we come back, could we also ask whether, to what extent the opening hours, will be extended, or what the hours would be, whether we saw a practice that I think many of us championed long ago for not just healthcare, but for retail, for banking, where we give, say, our elderly or, expectant mothers or, even others, maybe extra time or dedicated time, would we be looking at? Those things, perhaps we could speak to some of them as well. And maybe a few other questions that we could ask as well to telemedicine.
I will certainly speak to those issues. I would want to say quickly, my CEO, Miss Lizette Yearwood, will certainly love you for that question.
Well, she is a remarkable lady. Tell her, I think she's either West Bay or Camelback. I'm not quite sure. They're
No, and
so
she's right here.
wonderful.
She got to be from here. No, Georgetown.
I don't
Yes.
Let's just do business. Yeah. All right. Well, let's quickly pause, and then when we come back, very excited to hear the responses. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
It's not Toolfest at A.L. Thompson's, but it's almost as good. Toolfest has been an annual 2-day event since 2009, but because of current events, there will be no live demos. But that's okay, because what will be at Not Toolfest is the deepest discounts of the year on select hand tools and power tools for 3 weeks. Save big on tools by Makita, Milwaukee, Bosch, Skill, Dremel, and other power brands, and get 15% off all items in the tools department now through July 4th. Remember that Father's Day is June 21st, so give them a big boy toy from A.L. Thompson's during Not Toolfest.
Cineco is pleased to announce that our offices in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac have reopened to the public. Cineco will be open to serve our valued clients from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. until further notice. Recommended physical distancing and enhanced sanitization procedures have been implemented in our offices, and visitors will be required to wear face masks for the safety of all concerned. On behalf of the Cineco team, we look forward to serving you.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Did you know that with the COVID-19 Emergency Withdrawal Program, we reviewed over 12,000 member applications in May, approved over 8,000 applications, and paid over CI 90 million to our members from June 12th onwards? We are the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, and we're here for you. For further information regarding the Emergency Withdrawal Program, visit chamberpension.ky, and for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630.
Attention parents and guardians. Don't forget that registration for students enrolling in or transferring to government schools for the 2020-21 school year closes on Friday, June 26. To register, please email edu.registration@gov.ky or call Mr. James Watler at 244-1841 or 916-3779, or find the registration link on Facebook at Education Cayman.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
One
of Cayman's bright and shining young stars, local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news, updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Travel between the 3 Cayman Islands remains restricted until further notice. Persons may only travel between Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman to provide essential services or for emergency medical purposes. Persons traveling between any of the 3 islands may do this by contacting bractravel@gov.ky with the details of their proposed travel, including purpose of visit, length of stay, accommodations, etc. Applications will be processed on a case-by-case basis. All individuals traveling to the sister islands from Grand Cayman must undergo a 14-day mandatory isolation period at a government facility. They will be tested on the 15th day, and direct transportation to the airport will be arranged if they have a negative result.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And the 2 p.m. headline news is not long away, and then after that, the briefing. But truly honored to be able to welcome to our studio, virtually, remotely, Dr. Cummings, Dr. McLaughlin, Dr. Richards, and I'm now told, as you heard just during the break, the CEO, Miss Lizette Yearwood, and remarkable, another physician joining the folds of the HSA, Dr. Erica Ebanks. So to all of you, very, very special thanks and a public heartfelt, sense of appreciation for the excellent services, experience, and expertise that we have over at the Health Services Authority. For a community as small as this, we have incredible resources, and I think it bodes well, for our confidence, but also the notion that as a society, we can reflect on what we have and be very, very grateful. So thanks again for what it's worth. Personal thanks. If I may just ask, and I do respect that your time, is very busy with your patients, so appreciate you sharing with us. But we had seen a few things, prior, and now definitely if one of the other positives that could come of this was a greater appreciation for elderly and for others. As the HSC reopens on this level 2 suppression, is there anything in particular for elderly, for maybe those who have other health conditions, maybe even expectant mothers, people who may need, like their craft, say, the extra assistance and boarding and the like?
Yes, so that's a good question, Dwayne. Now, we are aware that the elderly in particular and persons who are immunocompromised are at particular risk for poor outcomes or bad outcomes with the COVID-19. And so what we have said and what we have discussed and decided among the group is that we should try to bring the elderly in clinics when they can be seen with other elderly around. And then for the younger ones, and again, I want to say quickly that even young persons can have severe disease. So let's say that up front.
Yes, sir.
But in general, persons who are immunocompromised and older, the literature has shown they tend to be the worst affected. So we're going to be putting in place measures so that our elderly persons and the persons with immune deficiency states, persons who are diabetic, persons who have kidney disease, and so on, they will be seen on special days. Now, we had initially said we're going to do that on a particular day in the week, but what has happened is that in some of the clinics, for example, internal medicine, the majority of the patients fall into that category. So therein lies the difficulty of saying choose a day for those persons. In fact, the ones who are less or the more healthy ones are the ones you've got to choose one day for because they're less in number. But the answer to your question really is that we're working it out and trying to further protect them by bringing them with like-minded persons who look like themselves, who are just like them in terms of illnesses, diabetics with diabetics. And even though I know some persons like my good friends, and I'm not going to call names, even if they meet that age of elderly, they don't want to be with the elderly group. That's the problem.
Someone comes to mind, but I won't say his name.
They want to come with the younger people.
Yeah. Well, as you were sharing that, I thought popped into mind. So forgive me for, and I don't mean to drop anything on your table. Um, if, for instance, as you did that, maybe there's an opportunity for one of the NGOs, the service clubs, or some other community group to provide a way, if we recognize for those of us who are at the HSA frequently, that many of our elderly, this is in addition to seeing their physicians and getting their regular checkups, this is as much as an opportunity for them to, as a social outing. So respecting the social distances, there might be an opportunity to engage them, even if they're 6 or 8 feet apart. They can still talk. They can still be treated to some sort of, I don't know, fellowship, some sort of, I don't want to say food, but something appropriate. I don't know whether that puts more headaches and hassles, but it was just a thought that I felt led to share. As the elderly come for their visits while they congregate in the atrium or elsewhere, maybe if it's safe to do so.
Right. It's a thought, yes, it's a thought. I have to say one of the things we try to do, though, is once persons are cared for, either have received prescriptions or have received other things, we try to let them, I was about to say move on, but I'm not going to say move on.
No, I know what you mean.
Because we want others to come in, but it's a thought, and we can consider anything, yes.
Yeah, and especially as you said, if there was because of logistics, probably as you shared, not as possible. But if your suggestion was on a particular day, but it is just another opportunity, and I think we're balancing the need to make sure people are safe and not, especially the elderly in particular, not exposed to any unnecessary, interactions that could put their health at risk. And it's for us to
I
start
want to
thinking.
say this though, Dwayne. I mean, when I was going to school as a little boy, that's about almost a century ago.
2 centuries, maybe.
I remember elderly used to be 30 something, and as I get older, elderly changes every year. It's amazing. But I just want to say that.
Thank you.
I just
Yes,
wanted
sir.
to mention something about, not necessarily about the elderly, but one of the things that we have done, we have expanded the pharmacy services, and I just want people to recognize that, in that we have opened the Smith Road Center, so we can accommodate more people. Additionally, we're having pharmacy delivery services, and so our seniors do not have to come and stand in the sun or rain and 6 feet from the other person, but instead we deliver their medication. So I think that is also something which is important, and it helps in terms of supporting the whole population.
All right. And will that, just for clarity, the Smith Road operation, where you could, I think, take a picture, send it across electronically, and that was an excellent initiative. That will continue.
Yes, it will. It will. It will continue. Yes.
Okay. I commend you
Can't
for it,
stop
man.
good
Very
things at
innovative.
all.
Yeah. What about hours of operation and the like for some of the services? Now, I know you all work extended hours as it is now, but uh, will that change the opening and operating hours?
So right. Another good question. What we're doing is we have started back the clinics at a time, at the defined time this should be started at. And remember, I said earlier that throughout the period, March and April, while we were in the height of the COVID crisis, persons were still being seen. We have looked at it, we've looked at the numbers, etc. And yes, there are some persons who still need to be seen. Primarily, though, I have to say that the persons who are not being seen or who have not had their procedures done were the persons who are due to have routine surgical procedures. And we try to fit those in. Notwithstanding, we are saying that once we look at the numbers and as we start back, and if there's any need that is sort of urgent or even semi-urgent, we are willing to extend the time. Now, clinics will be open as usual, but it will go to maybe 6, 7, whatever time is necessary, we will do that.
Okay.
And so the doctors are looking at their patients now, because the internists and the general surgeons, they're looking at their patients and seeing the ones that are backed up. And then we'll call them in as soon as they need to come in, and as soon as possible too. And again, if there needs to be an extension of time, there will be.
All right. We had two other things.
I don't want to give a definite number based on what I've discussed with my colleagues, but it will be extended as is needed.
Right. Well, we're always a phone call away, even if it's just a quick update or reminder or announcement. That is without question an open invitation. We want to ask two things, but before we do about telemedicine, could we ask there was, if I get the name wrong, correct me, but acute care, I think it was somewhere near GP, a practice, an offering that HSA had on the tables. Is that something that is still available? If it is, to what extent is that going to be utilized? As I understood it, it was, there's the ER for very urgent emergency things that were necessary, and then there's acute care that is not as, urgent, but still a little bit more serious than waiting for the GP.
Right.
Is that still?
The acute care clinic has continued throughout COVID. It did not stand down completely because it does serve to meet needs of some type of urgency. So that still continues, with it pretty much located where GP is. Obviously, there are a little bit of physical changes that will be taking place as the Smith Road Center becomes more and more online, because some of the services will be moving over to Smith Road. But the acute care clinic still sits there. It is still it has not closed because of COVID, so it's not like it's reopening. It has been present there all along.
All right. Certainly let us know if that's something that you wish to highlight, and in fact, on any of the services. But for the acute care, then, would patients just present there and they'll be directed? How does that work?
When they arrive to the acute care clinic, they would still go through the same processes, sanitization, temperatures, questions asked, and then registered to be seen. If there's something about the care that requires intervention from the emergency room side, then they would still be transferred to us. So what we're just doing is trying to keep distancing from patients, ensuring they're wearing their masks, but your care will not be diminished simply because we are in the middle of COVID.
Okay.
Or potentially COVID or anything like that.
Fair enough. All right. Well, one final thing before I know we're soon to end, but I sort of appreciate it. Telemedicine. Any other thoughts that you wish to share in respect to that?
Yeah, right. So, telemedicine is a very important part of medical care in this era, and even before this era. We used the robot to do telemedicine even before COVID time, and now that this time has come, we've extended telemedicine even more so. Recently, through the assistance of an input of the CEO, Lizette Yearwood, and Dr. Jefferson, we've been able to get 2 more telemedicine facilities, and that's primarily for the ambulance service, so that when they go out into the areas and the districts, etc., should they run into a problem, for example, a very sick patient, the doctors and the staff at the emergency room can have real-time access to that patient. So telemedicine is a big thing now. We're using telemedicine in different parts of the hospital also. But to answer your question, yes, telemedicine is taking off. It's taken off around the world, and it's certainly taken off here at the Health Service Authority. We still like to use our stethoscopes nevertheless. So while I do the telemedicine, I still want to see my patients so I can touch them. And they most times want to touch us too.
Yeah, man. It's important. You learn a lot more in person. Well, thank each of you. And
but I want to say one thing quickly, if I may. I know we ran out
I
of
was
time.
gonna. Yes, sir.
It's about visitors. I know. Can I just quickly say that we are aware that when persons are unwell, having relatives and friends and well-wishers around is key to their improvement. It's key to their sanity, key to everything. So having visitors is key. We are aware of that. And so even as the suppression measures are lifted, we are reintroducing visitation rights for our patients. And there's a long list of it. They can obtain them, but the point I want to make, because of time, is that, yes, we are allowing visitors to come back into the hospital. Having said that, they'll have to go through the same things. You've got to make sure they're healthy. We don't want people to come and visit the hospital and they're not healthy, so they can get temperature checks. They're going to have to come through. Everybody coming to the hospital now has to come through the front entrance. Patients, except for the emergency patients, cannot come through the side doors and by maternity, etc., as they would do before. They come through one area, and this is all to streamline and for their safety. Mm-hmm. But yes, visitors will be allowed. We limit the visitors nevertheless. It's going to be 2 visitors per adult patient in medical ward, surgical ward, critical care, and they must adhere to the times. When they're visiting, for example, they've got to visit between certain hours, 11 a.m. in the morning to 8 p.m. And finally, very, very quickly, COVID patients will not be allowed visitors for obvious reasons. We cannot have visitors for COVID patients.
Well, thank you all very much, and I know W.
Just one little short point.
Yes, Mom.
Dwayne, the emergency room has a slight variation in that, simply because we have even more space limitations. So we are basically one visitor per patient and with time limits, and also the requirement to stay with the person you're visiting. You know, we're all social beings, so it's not uncommon for people to walk from one bed to the next bed saying hello in the emergency room. Unfortunately, in this era, that cannot continue going forward from that bit. But we're aware that your time is short, and so we are.
Yeah. But if I just wanted just to make, no, thank you. Just to clarify, and I do respect that we're over, but for the emergency, the person comes in with the emergency and brings a family member, a friend, or whatever. Just quickly, that person and the family member would be allowed, or you just make sure they misunderstand.
No, yes, on one level, we would try to sort out the emergency first, then we can allow the patient to have the relatives. We're not encouraging you to bring 4 or 5 family members in because we have a significant shortage of limitation of space.
Right. Okay.
And there are certain things that we would be doing differently in terms of we would be saying to people, you have to wait at X spot, and we'll try to call you. Children, of course, are entitled to their parents, or their guardians. That's not going to change. So they will be, and any of the elderly who need, or anyone who's in need of a caregiver for their general assistance, that person would be getting to stay with them completely. But there'll be certain things you'll be doing where you have one visitor at a time, and there's almost like a time limit of about 10 to 15 minutes. Those types before you move along, just simply to try to limit the contact with other people and to maintain the distances, because the space is quite limited in terms of that when we're trying to do 6 feet.
Well, thank you all very much, and I really appreciate you, accommodating the time and understand it, and looking forward to either collectively or individually more discussion. That was, Dr. Cummings, we had Dr. McLaughlin, and Dr. Richards. And as HSA reopens, well, we'll pause now and take a break. But when we come back, the press briefing will start, and we'll go to it when it does.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile. Saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. In an effort to help the local tourism industry rebound, the Department of Tourism is urging business owners to develop a strong continuity plan for their future. Following a series of focus group sessions among tourism stakeholders in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism has developed a template that small businesses can use when considering their own continuity plan. You can find that template online at visitcaymanislands.com. In international headlines, the World Health Organization says the record levels of new daily COVID-19 cases are due to the fact that the pandemic is peaking in a number of large countries at the same time and reflects a change in the virus's global activity. Today, Emergencies Chief Dr. Michael Ryan said that the numbers are increasing because the epidemic is developing in a number of populous countries at the same time. While some countries have attributed their increased caseload to more testing, including India and the U.S., Dr. Ryan says that isn't the case, noting that numerous countries have also noted marked increases in hospital admissions and deaths, neither of which can be explained by increased testing. The coronavirus is spreading in Pakistan at one of the fastest rates in the world, and its overwhelmed hospitals are turning away patients. But the government there is pushing ahead with opening up the country in an effort to salvage a near-collapsed economy where millions have already slid into poverty from pandemic restrictions. Further complicating the dilemma, many people are ignoring government calls to wear masks or obey social distancing rules. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
your voice, your choice,
Join the
your
University
radio.
College of the Cayman Islands admission team for their webinar, a step-by-step guide on how to apply to UCCI this fall 2020 semester. It's happening Friday, June 26th at 12 noon. Get the answers you need to make your admission process easy. Visit ucci.edu.ky to register. That's ucci.edu.ky.
Wow, looks good. What is that?
Chicken chair.
What did you just say to me?
Chicken chair.
I am not a chicken.
Whoa! I said chicken share. It's from KFC. Bucket of 12 hot wings, 6 pieces of chicken, or 8 tenders. KFC chicken share. Just $12 each.
Oh.
Want some chicken, tenders, or hot wings?
You're sharing your chicken share with me?
The new chicken share from KFC, just $12 each, and it's finger-licking good. Dine at KFC Baytown Plaza, KFC Shedden Road, or KFC at the Strand.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky.
And thank you for joining us for today's coronavirus press briefing. I'm Caroline James in for Donna Bush. Welcome to our viewers on CIGTV, YouTube, Facebook, and our listeners on Radio Cayman. Today's prayer comes to us from Reverend Audley Scott.
Heavenly Father, you are the all-knowing and the all-caring God. And you understand we all face trouble and difficulty in some point in our lives. And these are difficult times for all of us. Father, thank you for keeping us safe from this virus thus far. And Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of approaching your throne of grace. And as I do, I pray for the leaders of our land. I pray for His Excellency the Governor, the Honorable Premier, and members of the Cabinet and the opposition. Give them the understanding, dear God, and the clarity of thought and wisdom. We pray also for the Medical Office of Health and all the frontline workers and the laboratory staff. Father God, I pray you will enlighten your people of this island, that they will understand all that is being done is for our own good. And I pray, God, as a people, protect us from this coronavirus. Heavenly Father, you are the great physician. And I pray today for the total eradication of COVID-19 from these Cayman Islands and from the world as a whole. Again, Heavenly Father, I join with others in this country in praying for your protection during this hurricane season. Keep us safe, keep us under the shadow of your love and your mercy. And it is in the name of Jesus Christ, your Son, our Savior and Lord, that I pray. Amen.
We welcome our panel today, His Excellency the Governor, the Honourable Premier and the Honourable Minister for Health. We're also joined by the Honourable Minister for Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure. In the room with us are the Chief Medical Officer and the Director of Hazard Management, along with our sign language interpreter, Ms. Carolyn Powell. Welcome also to members of the media who join us via Zoom, along with the Medical Officer of Health. So we invite Dr. Lee to deliver his update, first of all.
Good afternoon, everyone. There are 451 negative results to report today and no positives. That brings the total number of tests down to 21,282. So our total positive for the islands since this began remains at 195, with 3 in Cayman Brac. No people are symptomatic at this time. There are 40 asymptomatic people. There are no people admitted to hospital at this time, and 154 people have recovered. There are 140 people in government isolation facilities and 166 being isolated at their home. In the previous day, 6 people attended the flu clinic with mild flu-like symptoms, and there were 20 calls to the flu hotline, with 7 being flu-related. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. And members of the media have any questions for you. First, we have one from the public. We're only a couple of days, obviously, into level 2, but people are wondering if you have any observations or concerns so far.
I think that the fact that we've been testing all the while and the testing results are pretty much consistent, if not showing an improving trend. And one of the graphs that I have has shown a downward trending line, which is really good, even though the mean value for positives hasn't shifted much. I'm really encouraged by that. And we all clearly hope and we anticipate that that will continue, which is great news for the islands.
It's very reassuring. Kaylee Young from the Cayman Compass, I believe you have a question for Dr. Lee.
Hi, Dr. Lee.
Good afternoon.
As we relax the shelter-in-place measures, do you anticipate that we might start seeing more positive numbers pop up? And if we do, would that be normal and expected, or a point of concern?
I'm not anticipating a rise in the numbers. That's why we've spent all this time being locked down, in that we hope that what we're seeing at the moment is the tail ends of people's infections when we find positive people. We don't believe that we're finding people with de novo new infections on board. We're rather at the tail end of their current, of a previous infection.
Great. And the public has noticed that you're looking fresh today. You got a new haircut. Any recommendations on where to get a good cut?
I don't think you really want my answer to that. But yes, I was very pleased. I was very pleased to return to my barber, and I think he was actually quite happy to see me too. So it's good to meet up again.
Yes, I think the barbers are eager to get people back in those chairs. Those are all my questions for today, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla. Wendy at the Cayman News Service, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. I just have one quick question for Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee, can you remember the last time you reported a positive case of a contact? So rather than in one, although picked up by screening, rather than being just a random person, a positive test of someone that was connected to another positive test. Can you remember how long ago that was?
The short answer is no. The short answer is no, Wendy. I would hazard a guess. It's around 2 weeks ago or so. I mean, every few results I have been reporting a contact to somebody that's known to be positive, but whether they actually got the disease from that person, it could actually be that the contact was the person that originally had the disease and not the other way around. You have to imagine.
Yeah.
But also, if they're all at the tail end, it could be that whole household was at the tail end, which is why we're really looking forward to the immunoglobulin studies. I do have some advance information about that, and as I've mentioned to you, we're going to report those more as blocks rather than on a daily basis. But the immunoglobulin, the antibody testings that have so far been reported, and the reports have started to come in, are showing very low levels of antibody positivity.
Okay.
And in people often that we know were positives, and not in people beyond that group. So interesting in some ways.
Does that tell you about something about the strain of the virus then?
It's not telling me anything at the minute, because we really need to look at the results in more detail.
Okay. I look forward to getting those results. Thanks, Dr. Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Dr. Lee. We'll turn to the panel and to the Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Hello, everyone. Results are continuing to trend incredibly well, and that gives us all a great deal of encouragement that the strategy that we've employed thus far is working. And there's a great feeling, I think, all around of optimism. Moving to suppression level 2, the first phase of that, also means a lot more people are back in the workforce this week, including helpers and caregivers, hair and beauty salons reopening, churches, cinemas, and theaters all able to open, providing strict social distancing measures are in place. So far, the reports I've received have been encouraging as businesses begin to fully operate. So as we continue to move forward, I ask you all to remain vigilant. It's no longer about stay home, Cayman. It's about stay safe, Cayman now, as we ease restrictions. We all have done a great job so far and at great sacrifice. The virus hasn't entirely gone away. It is still here among us. And that's why we need to maintain our social distance, always wear a mask or cloth face covering in public places, and adhere to respiratory protocols. I have to say that I went for my first haircut in God knows how long today, and I was pleased. Pleased is not strong enough, really. I was really impressed at the measures that the salon has gone to ensure safety. Everybody wearing visors, all of the technicians wearing visors, and all customers wearing masks, and lots of sanitizers around the place. So I think everybody's taking it, that I've seen, taking this issue very seriously. We will continue with our plan of aggressively testing, and will carefully monitor results as more people come back into the workforce and gather socially. But as I said, the results so far are very encouraging. Industry-specific guidance is shared on the government website. The guidance has been developed to support the safe reopening of a number of areas coming online, and includes guidance on babysitting for parents and primary caregivers, welcoming your child caregiver back into your home, guidance for the operations of early child care centers and summer camps, vacation Bible schools, which will come online on 5th July. And there's also a framework for restarting sports, contact sports, on the 19th of July.
Hi, this is Danny Coleman, Director of Hazard Management Cayman Islands. We are now in the hurricane season, and for information on how to prepare and stay safe, please visit our website, www.caymanprepared.ky. Some top tips to bear in mind, given that we are still in the midst of COVID-19. Please make sure you have a mask and sanitizer, you have food supplies to last for 3 to 5 days, a portable radio, personal hygiene and sanitation items, and medical supplies, and any other specific items your family may need during a hurricane. Make sure you know where you will shelter in the event of a storm. If you have pets, please make sure provisions